Dave in Seattle, go ahead.
Hey, Alex. I've been an info warrior since you've loved V8 Mustangs. Now I hear you talk about Dodge SRTs, and there you go, changing all your priorities again.
I kind of missed what you just said. Say it again.
Oh, I've been a fan since you've been...
I heard that part. I heard that part.
Oh, now you're talking about Dodge SRTs, and there you go, changing your priorities.
No, I was just joking about souping up the Patriot movement and the 10th Amendment movement like putting nitrous oxide on a fast car. It was an analogy. It was a parable. It was a parallel. It was a illustration.
I know. I was trying to be light of it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
On Anderson Cooper the other day, they were talking. They had a panel of Mexican American ladies, and one was whose family had been here for a long time. Spoke of the struggle and everything to be proud of, and the rest of the panel seemed to think that there was something immoral or wrong about maintaining that kind of integrity to the system. And I'm just completely baffled by the attitude that what's been right for so long, has worked for so long, is now garbage, and we have to accept destruction. And if we don't, we're the ones that are crazy.
No, exactly. Look, I appreciate your call. Mexico has officially collapsed. It is now officially a failed state according to the State Department. I don't need them to tell me that. I said that 5 years ago. This is globalization. I mean, I've seen news articles about me saying, Alex Jones, what next? He'll tell us we're in a North American Union. We have the Security Prosperity Partnership documents. They've set up a North American Union. They want to erase our borders, and they want to destroy our freedoms and liberties. And they've now made it a revolutionary movement to have the immigrants, instead of joining and saying, I want to be anti-New World Order, they've got them to buy into being revolutionary by being communist. There's nothing revolutionary about being communist. That's funded by the elite to consolidate wealth. Let's go ahead and talk to Eddie in in New Hampshire. Go ahead, Eddie.
Hello, Alex. The question is, I just wanted to get your take on the riots around the world, Greece, Thailand, and every place else the mainstream media won't cover. My question is how much has to be done and taken from the American people, violence aside, where we just say enough?
Well, television became popular here in the U.S. It is basically a mind control tool. It sets the agenda. It tells you what to think. It takes up 4+ hours of time on average for the average American. It is a fact. I've had scores of medical doctors on that sodium fluoride is a calmative, sedative toxin. We've been drinking sodium fluoride, and the average American is basically brain damaged. And so that's why they're rushing to fluoridate Thailand and Greece and everywhere else, because the Nazis picked it up from the Soviets to put it in labor camp water. And that's in a Pulitzer Prize-winning book. Was a Pulitzer Prize-winning writer that wrote the book, 2 of them, I.G. Farben, Crime and Punishment, dealing with the Nazis. So it's a fact. We're medicated. Our water supply is drugged. And that's why the American people, who were known as the most rebellious, the most aggressive, the most inventive, the most violent, just can't get angry because they're drugged. And they're drugged by entertainment, by television, but by physical drugs. And I've also seen AP studies, take the Dallas water supply. It has levels of Prozac many times higher than should be there from just runoff and sewage. So they're Prozacing the water, basically, with a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And I also have played mainstream newscasts where they propose putting lithium and Prozac in the water, as well as statins for supposed cholesterol health. And so we're in a drug society, Eddie. We're under mind control. And truth is stranger than fiction. That's why that's going on. I appreciate your call. But to answer your first part of your question, in Thailand and everywhere else, they have these criminal governments that are raising taxes and cutting services to pay money on debt to private banks, because the private central banks the top 1% of the banks, again, your average bank is not bad, folks, they're good. They're taking over the good banks right now with this new regulations. Again, the banks create the crisis and they take over their competition with the new legislation. All these countries are having to raise taxes, cut services to pay interest on debts that are derivatives-based. The derivatives, see, the bankers sold them the derivatives when they had so-called value, knowing they were crap. Okay? And again, that's in the Goldman Sachs emails and other documents. And now the countries have them. It's worthless, so they're in debt, and the banks are there with the magic checkbook writing them the checks. I want to get into medical tyranny when we come back, and also play a little video clip. Thai military slaughter of red shirts intensifies. People fighting with slingshots against troops with M16s. We'll cover that straight ahead and then jam in a few other calls. Mark, Ronnie, Josh, Chris, Ed, Beverly, and others.
Everybody rolls with their fingers crossed. Everybody knows the war is over. Everybody knows the good guys.
Final segment. I'll be back tomorrow live, 11 a.m. Central, 12 noon Eastern. The websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. If you're an Infowars.com audio listener or station listener out there, Jason Burmis has got 3 hours coming up for callers we don't get to. You can hold over for him if you'd like. Look, they are drugging the water supply. That's on record. The public is being toxically sedated because we're armed. And if they were going to do this, they had to drug us. The average male, regardless of what color you are, wants to be free. Wants your family to be free. That's what your ancestors stood up for. But over in Thailand, they hadn't had a chance to drug the water yet. But it didn't matter because they're not armed. So they're fighting for 2 months, troops with slingshots. I want to play this quick ITN 1-minute report. You can go up to Infowars.com in our article, Thai military slaughter of red shirts intensifies. We have a whole bunch of videos and news article boil downs there that I believe Kurt Nimmo put this together. You can see them fighting the troops and winning in some cases, though they're now going to be basically assaulted and overtaken with slingshots. Now imagine the American people with all their firearms. We want to avert that happening. Here it is.
With government protesters vowing to defend their fortified camp in Bangkok, the violence in Thailand is showing no signs of coming to an end. Die-hard demonstrators clashed with government troops again on Saturday, following 2 days of violence that's left dozens of people dead. Explosions echoed overnight. As morning came, it was quieter, but plumes of smoke could still be seen, dominating the skyline. The red shirt protesters began their latest campaign to oust the government in March, saying it came to power illegitimately and doesn't care about the poor. The latest violence erupted on Thursday after the red shirt's military strategist was shot and seriously injured, apparently by a sniper. Around 10,000 demonstrators have barricaded themselves inside Bangkok's main shopping district. The media's declared the area a war zone.
Well, there you go. So the images of people fighting grenades, RPGs, and machine guns with 7-Eleven cheap slingshots, not high-powered slingshots. A wrist rocket is powerful with ball bearings. And they've now said the military is going to go in and kill these tens of thousands of people, and they're staying, men, women, and children. That's how much they want freedom. But our media is basically calling them terrorists. Well, I guess the people at Tiananmen Square were terrorists, too. Our government is illegitimate and aligned with thugs and dictatorships, period. Mark in Texas, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Boy, I'm glad to be on here today, Alex. You've talked about so much good stuff. Boy, I tell you, it's not just you, it's just people, too. And I have some things I'm curious about, several questions about some of the bank stuff that I'm trying to dig around in. I don't have as much time, so I'd like to ask you. And first, one thing I wanted to be thankful for the fellow that you had the other day, George Humphrey, I think it was.
Yes.
How he said it's a good time for us to be, we've got these opportunities, and I'm getting something myself that's helped me get motivated. and I'm wondering if I have a chance to read it, I'd like to read it. If not, I'll just share and see what everybody thinks that is said in it. You know,
how long is it?
How it might help us. It might be a little long for today, but I'll try it if you want me to.
Well, just give us the synopsis.
Okay. Well, I'll just say this. I was wondering what people might, you know, for help and motivation is to see what the Lord, the big guy that you and George and everybody talks about, is saying in this Hebrews 9 scripture in verses 13 through 17.
Yeah, go ahead and read it. I know it well. Read it.
Okay, that's pretty long, but okay. First thing he says, for if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of heifers, sprinkling unclean, sanctify them to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God. And it says, for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for redemption of transgressions that were under the First Testament,